r/ask Reddit. What is one annoyance that you experienced as a kid that the kids of today will never know? Calling a girl's house and having to deal with her parents. Upvote. I always hated the awkward. Is there? Is there? Yes. Silence. May I speak with her? Yes. Just a moment. Douchebag dad edit. I know. Just skip the first question. You can all stop telling me. Sitting by a radio for hours to try and tape your favorite songs. And, likewise, appreciating just how much effort went into somebody making you a tape like that. I remember when I was about 14, listening to the radio one day, the DJ came on and said someone had just called in to complain about him talking during the intro of songs because she was trying to tape them and didn't want his voice interfering. So he said he wouldn't do that anymore. The next song went smoothly without incident until the middle of the song, which he promptly broke into and said, "Aha, gotcha. Free dog here. How's everyone doing? You want cartoons? Get up early on Saturday then, because that's all you're getting." I knew I slept in too late when I turned on the TV and Saved by the Bell was on. Replace Saved by the Bell with Soul Train and that was my childhood. Dial up. I can still hear the screeching. Oh god, the screeching. Edit. Proud to have been a part of such an awesome thread. How about this one? No internet at all. When I did book reports, I had to go to the library and look up everything in books. When I was a kid, we had to learn. Now kids just need to Google. It's still learning. It's just easier now. Not being able to run or pretty much move suddenly in any way at all without a Discman skipping like a mother ducker. Or when you had a cassette Walkman and the music would slow down because the batteries were dying. My parents bought me an anti-skip CD player and I thought I was so fancy. Using pliers to change the channel on the TV because the dial is broken. We did this as the clicker broke. Yes, remote control. It used sound instead of IR. Late 70s tech. Then somehow we figured out if we used a certain belt and snapped it in just the right way it would change the channel. Today I learned clickers used to make noise. No money for the payphone. Using 1-800-COLLECT and leaving your name as pick-me-up-place. Bob we had a bye it's a boy. This commercial burned into my memory forever. Having to wait for someone to get off the phone so you can use the internet. Having to wait for someone to get off the phone so you could use the phone. Hearing your neighbors on the phone due to party line. Grayscale screens without backlights. I still remember playing the first Game Boy and Mario Kart on an armchair with the brightest light in the house directly overhead. Trying to play in a car at night and holding it up high so the headlights from the car behind lit it up. And when no cars were behind you, having to wait until you passed a street light and pausing until you passed another one. Having a Walkman with only a fast forward button and rewinding by having to flip the tape and fast forward, then re-flip to check it's rewound enough. Putting your favorite song at the beginning of a tape so you could quickly rewind to that song and not miss the opening. Rewinding a VHS before watching it because the last shat to rent it from Blockbusters didn't rewind it before returning it. Edit. I get it. Be kind. Rewind. You don't all have to tell me at once. Edit 2. I have more karma than the actual thread. Suck it. But seriously, remember to upvote the post as well. People. I was at Goodwill looking for old games and I had my kids with me. The youngest saw VHS and asked what it was. I told him it was a movie. He asked how they were played and I told him that you use the VCR we have in the basement, next to my MST3K collection. He bought the first Pokemon movie for 73 cents. Watch it with him. Shit's deep as duck. Having to stay more or less in one place while on the telephone because the cord didn't reach. Boom. Hang up the phone. I got IT. Hang up. I said I got IT mom. To person on other side of phone, sorry. My mom sometimes is just, ugh. Getting film developed. I know it could be done in an hour, but that's a far cry from just printing it out nowadays. I swore I would never do the I had a high scoring comment on Reddit so I need to add something edit. But here goes. Find your passion. Do something amazing. Don't hate. Don't judge. Consider the other person's point of view. Be the best person and teach your kids the same. We are all connected and the stuff we do matters. I truly love all of you and I hope I meet each and every one of you in the next life. But please be good to your neighbors in the meantime. Good night and good luck. To be fair, kids nowadays miss that anticipation of checking out your vacation pictures the week after you get back. That used to be one of my favorite things about traveling. We would also each only get 2-3 rolls of film. So 48-72 pics. For a whole week. So pictures were taken more carefully, not documenting every single moment of every trip. Not only that, but if you took a picture and someone's eyes were closed or something, you wouldn't know until it was too late. I usually snap a few shots whatever I'm photographing for that very reason, especially if it's someplace I'm not likely to come back to soon. Tinkering with AutoExec, bat and config, size in order to get a PC game running. I do not miss the old days of installing games on PC. I felt like I accomplished something when I got one to work. The Dewey Decimal System. I understand that the actual numbers are still listed, but we had to dig through hundreds of drawers full of 3x5 inches index cards with 8 points times New Roman font for a number like 535, 135H7. Then you took the number, wrote it down by hand like some kind of animal, and wandered the aisles of the library until you miraculously ended up in the proper section. You find the 500S. You find the 530S. You find 535, 135, or duck the book is gone. Back to square one. Having your shitty boombox eat your favorite cassette tape. Having your boombox require 6 batteries and draining them in an hour of playing your mixtapes that you carefully recorded off the radio. Not just 6 batteries, 6 COD batteries. Those honkers were only used in giant stuff and you never seemed to have around the house. Having to actually remember people's phone numbers. Copying a game on 4 floppies. Hey man, don't copy that floppy. Wanting to listen to a specific track on a cassette tape and rewinding too far, then fast forwarding too far, then rewinding too far again. I remember thinking my first CD was some kind of black magic. Then I discovered you could program the CD player to play a sequence of specific tracks in a row, or set it to repeat one track over and over again. Holy shit, now that was high tech. Trying to run away from the monster in Ski Free on Windows 95. Dialing the first 6 numbers correctly on a rotary phone, and then messing up the 7th, especially if the number had multiple 8s or 9s. I had a friend that had 5 4 zeros in his number, ANNOYING edit. I can't count. I just remember it took a long time to dial. What about just meeting friends out somewhere? You used to have a plan. There was no, I'll call you when I get there. Sometimes I don't know how we did it. This is one of the things I don't like about everyone having mobiles. Too easy to get lazy and chicken out at the last minute. Back then, you made a damn plan and stuck with it. Calling people at home. Having to talk to their parents. Encarta in maze. I learned so much. I know you asked for one, but I'm old. I have several. Although I consider myself to have been a fairly lucky, privileged kid, just in general, not so much when compared to the kids of wealthier families in my neighborhood. The kids who got, like, motorcycles and snowmobiles for Christmas, having to wind past the first 10 feet of audio tape to get past the leader portion to get it queued up, then having a nasty pop on the recording of that LP that's going to be there every time you listen to the tape if you don't re-record it, making a mistake while typing and having to either start again or use a correcting product, having to go to the store and spend my piddly allowance on film for my camera, then taking a lot of lousy, pointless photos with it, and then having to beg my mother to have them developed and printed. Then, weeks later when we got the photos back, I'd get a stern lecture about wasting money by taking picture after picture of the cat. Oh, and speaking of photography, my camera didn't have a built-in flash. No, I had to spend my allowance on these friggin' things if I wanted to take photos indoors, and they weren't all that cheap. Finally I got a battery-powered flash unit as a hand-me-down from my older brother when he got a new camera, and we didn't have video games in our house. No, video games required a roll of quarters and a ride to the mall, but we were allowed to hop on our bikes and just disappear for hours. I don't think kids today get that kind of freedom. Did you happen to save those pictures of the cat? You might be able to get some sweet karma now to retroactively show your mom they weren't a waste. I would do that. But between her surprising grasp of world religions and general lack of knowledge when it comes to social news sites, she'd likely say something like this. Getting warned on AOL Instant Messenger and not being able to log in due to that. Waiting up to 2 hours to download one song on Napster. Edit. Holy crap, you guys brought me to memory lane. Warn wars. Waiting hours to download music. Yay childhood. Don't know something? Go to the goddamn library and find an encyclopedia. Unless your parents had bought the Funk and Wagnalls for learning at home. No Google. No instant access to information. If you didn't know something, you had to make an effort to learn it. My kids these days. Dad, how do I? Never mind, I googled it on my device that I carry in my pocket that has instant access to all the information in the world because we live in the goddamn future. Edit. Since many people seem to think I'm mad at my kids for this or something, I'm not. I'm inordinately proud of their ability to figure their shit out better than everyone else. That's right. Every other ducking person. They're super smart. Dying of dysentery on the Oregon Trail. Getting up and walking across the room to change channels on the TV. When we had our first cable box in about 1985, my dad pulled up the carpet and wired it to the TV so he could put the cable box on the coffee table. That's eating Cheetos with chopsticks level genius. Even worse than sharing a phone line was the party line. It's not what you think. When I was a kid living in the country, we shared a phone line with 3 other families. Not only did you have to wait for somebody else to get finished with their call, anyone on the line could listen to any ongoing conversation. It was a wonderful source for gossip. We had one old lady who spent all day checking the phone so she could listen in. I would have messed with her so hard. Where did you bury it? Black smudges on your hands from carbon paper. Not too long ago I had to explain what a carbon copy was after someone asked what the CC meant on Gmail. Writing in cursive. We were sold that poorly in school. Instead of just telling us that we could write a lot faster, they told us we needed to lean it because that was the only thing high school teachers would accept. So in the end we learned one way of writing and was told we had to learn another just because. No wonder nobody liked it. Family road trips. 12 plus hours in the car, no TVs in the headrest, portable DVD Blu-ray players, etc. Just pure, unabashed boredom. You pick a dirt spot on the car window and bob your head up and down, making the spot run and jump over treetops and power poles. Getting a phone call whilst on the internet and having it drop out. Trying to sneak onto the internet late or night early in the morning and attempting to muffle the sound of the damn modem harpy box. Those situations where you're stuck somewhere and bored with nothing to pass the time. Waiting at DMV. Waiting in a doctor's office. Waiting for your oil change to be done. Waiting to speak with an advisor. Completely gridlocked traffic, etc. Hopefully, there was a magazine available. Nowadays, whip out smartphone and browse Reddit. The time flies by. If you didn't bring a book, you were doing it wrong. Actually, I get bored much more easily than I did 10 years ago. Slight boredom? Let's hop on Reddit. Then I get bored on Reddit and have nowhere else to go. Kids need to have constant stimulation to keep themselves entertained. When I was younger, reading books was common. Now, if you read 2-3 books a year, you're considered a book nerd. Renting a bad video game. When there wasn't an internet to see whether or not a game sucked before you got it home from Blockbuster or your local video store, you were rolling the dice with $8 and the fun of your weekend on whether or not the game you rented was good or complete garbage. Yep, there was GamePro and other magazines. But if you didn't subscribe, you didn't know. Now, people can go straight to their favorite video game review website before spending coin on a game. Number 24-hour stores. Everything was closed by 9 PM and nothing was open on Sundays. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.